So welcome everyone. We are the Academy of Entrepreneurs. We are the online version of the Academy. We are a college/incubator, and we help entrepreneurs pursue their dreams of starting their first business or scaling their first business. So for those that are maybe interested a bit more on what we do, you can put it on the chat and I can contact you. You can leave your email there. You can follow us on social media. And today's webinar is, Sophie, next slide, please. It's Mobile Photography 101. Sophie is one of our legends, and she is a master photographer. So she's here today to tell us everything about how to shoot the best pictures from our phones. So hopefully you will all learn quite a bit. Next step, next slide, please, Soph. How to participate today. So I'm guessing that most of you have already used Zoom throughout this weird and strange times. But anything that you want to ask, please put it in the chat, and I'll be reading it out to Soph if I think that question is suitable for that moment. Worst case scenario, as soon as we finishes or she finishes with kind of the webinar, we'll have some time for a Q&A and I'll read them then. But just so you don't forget them, please just kind of type them in, and please stay muted. I'll make sure that I mute everyone else. If you get to, unmute yourself, but try to be muted for the whole webinar. And then again, when we get to the Q&A, everyone can just speak freely and we can have a beautiful conversation and change a few ideas. Next one up, please. So please share, follow us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, or with the hashtag #PauseyOurFuture. All of our events are here, free events, all of our courses. We have online courses, we have face-to-face courses that actually are online because of the whole COVID situation, but hopefully back soon on being face-to-face. We have short programs, long programs, mentorings. We have quite a few set of products that can help pretty much everyone pursue their dreams. So make sure you do so. And without further ado, I will leave you to Soph. Soph, this is all yours.
Thank you, Lucas.
No worries. Just gonna make sure I mute everyone. So you probably have to, yeah, you'll have to unmute yourself again, Soph.
There you go.
Yeah, and this is all yours.
Cool. Okay, guys, like Lucas already told you, my name is Sophie. I'm originally from Argentina, and I've been doing photography for 3 years now. It started out as a hobby because I've been traveling the world quite a bit, but slowly came turned out into a job, if we can say, and I've been teaching now for 1.5 years. Before we get into the workshop, I do want to remind you that make sure that you download the app. I don't know if you read it, but it's called Adobe Lightroom. You need that app in order to properly follow the workshop. So please make sure you do that. I can see that some of you are hidden the camera. So if you don't mind turning it on, that would be amazing. So I don't feel like I'm talking to the black screen, but I know some of you are, so thank you for that. So before we begin, I also want to let you know that I'm going to try to make this workshop as practical as I can. I know it's hard because I'm not there with you, but the idea is that everything that we're going to go through today, you're going to be able to also apply it with your phone. Today we're going to talk, of course, mainly about mobiles, but that this concept you can also be able to apply them on any device, cameras, drones, GoPro, whatever. Okay, so about the topics we're going to go through today, we're going to cover what is photography, the type of cameras and phones, different devices that we can use to actually take photos, different lenses that we got, focus, exposure triangle, which is key. If you actually leave this workshop knowing this, I'm gonna be 100% happy, because this is key in order to understand what photography is and how to take photos like a professional. And then we got composition rules. And if we got some extra time, I'm probably gonna dive into some editing tips. So again, make sure you have your phone handy and your Lightroom app, because we are gonna start working with it like straight away. First things first, what is photography, right? Photography, in a more technical word, can be divided into two. We got photo or we got graphy. Photo meaning lights, graphy meaning drawing. So basically when we're taking photos, what we're doing is drawing with light. So it's key that we understand how the light gets into the camera to be able to take correct photos, nice photos. There's different kinds of cameras, right? We got compact cameras, which are basically the cameras that we used to buy a few years ago that are very small. We also call them pocket camera, because literally you can fit them on your pocket and then you take them out, press the button, the camera will do all the work for you, and that's it. We don't have to worry about anything else, right? Then we got DSLR cameras, which are basically like professional cameras. What photographers use nowadays, they are quite heavy and expensive, but they have really good quality. Then we got mirrorless cameras, which are the latest cameras, are the most popular ones, because what they're trying to do with these mirrorless cameras is take the best out of the other two cameras, the compact and the DSLR. They want to keep them light and affordable, but keeping the good quality of the DSLR cameras. So this is a great option if you actually want to get into photography. I would definitely recommend you go for a mirrorless camera. Then we got action cameras that you probably heard about, the GoPros, the drones. And then we got the smartphones, which is what we're gonna go talk about today, right? Before we get into photography fully, we need to understand that besides the camera or the body itself, in photography, we also got lenses. We don't actually appreciate that this much in the phone because it's integrated already over there. But we need to understand that we got different type of lenses and they're meant to be used for different kinds of photography. That's why you probably seen the photography carry at least 5-6 lenses. And that's the reason why. Depending on the kind of photography we want to make, we're going to use a specific kind of lens, right? How do we measure these lenses? In millimeters. So we got 3 main lenses, if you want to call it in a way. We got wide angle lenses, we got normal lenses, and we got telephoto lenses. Wide angle lenses usually go from a range from 8 millimeters to 45 millimeters. This is a lens that we're probably going to use for landscapes. Why? Because it gives you a wide panorama view, like the name says. Then we got normal lenses, which is usually the 50 millimeter lens. And this is a great lens for portrait. And the reason is because human eyesight is equivalent to 50 millimeters. That's why we're probably going to use portrait, this lens for portrait. If we use, let's say, to take a photo of a person using a wide angle lens, we could, but probably what we're going to get is a little bit of distortion and the face is going to be a little bit funny. In order to avoid that, we're going to go with the normal lens. And then we got the third lens, which is that telephoto lens. This is a big lens with big zoom, and that's a lens that we're probably going to use for landscape. Wildlife. So if we got a bird that is hidden in the tree, or we're gonna shoot sports, we got the car that is quite far away, we're probably gonna go with this lens. This lens goes from a range from 50 onwards. So like you can see in the image, it can go from 70 to 200, 100 to 300, and so on. And then inside of these lenses, we got 2 types, fixed lenses or zoom lenses. That's why I mentioned before the 50 millimeters. That would be a fixed lens, because if I wanna get closer to the object, I have to move myself. With the zoom lenses, like the name says, we can actually zoom to get closer, okay? Now, another thing I forgot to mention, I don't know if you can see it, that's the reason for those who have anyone here has the iPhone 11 Pro or 11 with the 3 cameras? If you do, and you are wondering actually why they have 3 lenses, this is the reason why. Because one of the lenses is meant to be the normal lens, the second one is the wide, and the third one is the telephoto. That's the reason we actually have 3 cameras. So you basically got everything in one. Okay, phone. That's when you grab your phone, and we're gonna follow these steps. The idea is that you're gonna open your app. Oops. You're gonna open the app, and you're gonna go to your camera icon. You're gonna open it, and then you're gonna have an option down there. I don't know if you can actually see. Lucas, can I at the same time, or would you do the share screen?
What I would definitely say is maybe change to your phone.
Okay.
Now. So
I don't know if it's gonna be a bit tricky moving on and out. That's why.
Yeah, maybe just so that everyone can get used to the app and this first.
Okay. Okay, I'll give it a go.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. Can you see it now?
Yes, we can see it. Okay. I've got Helen saying, please let's take it. Yeah, maybe just go back to your so you can show them, like, open the app from scratch.
So once you're in the app, what you're gonna do is click the camera icon. Okay, so just like that. It's at the bottom right. Cool. I'm just gonna point the floor so it's easy for you. Let's see the keyboard. Okay. And then you got an option that says Pro mode, or it might be in your case in automatic mode. So you're gonna put it to professional. Why? Because in automatic mode, the camera was doing all the work for us. Now we're gonna manage all those settings. So we're gonna put it in professional mode.
Go for it, Sof.
Okay.
And sorry, guys, if for any reason you cannot follow, just maybe the best is to see what Sophie is doing now. This will be recorded so you can access it later. If you can do it in the meantime, it's fantastic. But so that we can get the best out of the webinar, we need to move forward.
Okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing that one, right? Okay. So the first thing we're gonna need to focus on is focus. Sometimes we take this for granted, but it's important to actually make sure that the focus is wherever we want it to be. So let's say we wanna put the focus on a flower. What we're gonna do is keep pressing the bottom, the screen, till you see the option that it says automatic lock or automatic focus.
Sorry, so your screen is frozen? Oh, there you go. Maybe you want to do it as you want to show it while doing it, and you do it. You can do it and show it at the same time, which would be great.
Focus here. Can you see the focus locked?
Yeah.
So everything is green. Okay. So when it's green, you actually know that the camera is focusing correctly. And then you can actually check if it's actually in focus or it's not. And now it's not letting me go. Then we got exposure. Exposure basically is the amount of light that gets into the camera, okay? So we need to understand how that light gets into the camera to make sure our photo is correctly exposed. How do we know that? It's basically common sense. You can see in the slideshow that we got 3 photos there. The one in the middle.
Sorry, Sof, we can see your phone, not the slideshow. I'm sorry.
You can't see my.
We only can see your phone now. If you want to, you need to change back to the slideshow if you want to talk about this slideshow.
Okay. There you go.
No. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Yeah, perfect.
So, as I was saying, exposure is key because we need to understand how that light gets into the camera. How do we know that? Common sense. The photo in the middle is correctly exposed. So, if it's a little bit dark, we're going to call it underexposed. If it's a little bit bright, we're gonna call it overexpose. The way we're gonna do to actually control that is through the exposure triangle, and this is key. We need to understand that exposure triangle that is composed by three main things: the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture. So we're gonna go through these three settings. If we wanted to understand this, we're gonna be able to actually take photos in a professional way. One more thing that we could do in the phone to actually manage the exposure, that I will give you a little bit of a hint, if you want to say in a way, is adjust the exposure ourselves. And the way we're gonna do it is in the slideshow, there's an option that says exposure, X. So you can actually move it to the right or to the left to decide whether you wanna do it, where you wanna put it. If you feel it's a little bit dark, just move it to the right. And if it's a bit overexposed, you can move it to the left. We were talking about the exposure triangle before. So one of the things we need to understand is the first setting, which is the shutter speed. Shutter speed is basically a curtain or yeah, it's like a curtain that it's open for a given amount of time. The more it's open, the more light gets into the camera. And therefore, let's say if we keep it open for a longer amount of time, that will create like these silky effects that you can actually see in the camera. If our shutter speed is actually quite high, a high number, this will freeze the action of the image. So depending on the kind of photography you want to do, we're going to go for a low shutter speed or a high shutter speed. How do we measure the shutter speed? Through fraction of seconds. That's why in your phone, you're probably going to see that you see 1/125, 1/150. So we need to control that according to what photo we want to make. In your phone, the way you're going to do this, you actually have like a couple of ways to do this. The first one is go to your sec, where it says sec, which is basically your shutter speed, and you can actually turn it on. You can turn it to your right or to your left, depending on the photography you want. To make. I can see. There you go. So let's say we put it in 125, 150, or 250. With what that is going to do is actually freeze the image. So if you want to create this, like capture the moment of the waterfall, like in this example, what we have to do is increase our shutter speed. If you want to create this silky effect, we're going to bring that shutter speed down. Okay? So we have to keep it at, for example, 1 fraction of a second, or even 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Another way we can do this is if you actually want to put our shutter speed high, we can actually get out of our app and go to our built-in camera, like the normal camera in your phone, and keep pressing that button in the middle. What is going to do that, if you keep pressing that, what is going to happen is you're going to take like several photos at the same time. By doing that, you're going to be able to capture the moment of the person. And then what you're going to do is pick the photo that you like the most and delete the rest. I don't know if it's a bit confusing because I'm not showing you. I'm struggling to show you both at the same time.
You're doing great, Sof. Just let's keep going with this, and then maybe you can.
At the end, maybe I'll show you one by one how they work in the phone, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And if you, that's the two ways you can do to actually capture the moment. So either bring your seconds up to your left, or you can actually use the burst mode, which is what I told you before. You get out of your camera and you just keep pressing that button. The other option would be, if you actually want to create the contrast effect, is either turn your seconds to your right, or you got another option where you can see the promote, where you can change it to long exposure. This is a new feature that the app created to make things a little bit easier. So I think in the solution, it's pretty clear. You can see the option. It's long exposure. So what you're gonna do is bring your number to the biggest number you have. In my case, it's gonna be 5 or 6, I think. If you can't find that option, it's probably because it's not enabled. So what you can do is just go to settings, you go back, and then you go to technology previews, and then you can activate it by just enable the long exposure. Sometimes because you haven't played with it already with the app and it's pretty new, you have to set it up. It might not be the case, but just in case, I'm letting you know. And in these two photos, you can actually see the difference when you got a low shutter speed and a high shutter speed. You can see the silky effect in this one, and here you can actually see how we have captured the moment a little bit more. It's very subtle in this case because the water wasn't that much, but it's actually a pretty good effect that you can achieve. The second setting that we were talking about, the first one was the shutter speed, and the second one is the aperture. Basically, the aperture is the size of the hole that is inside the lens that will basically either brighten your image or create another effect, which is basically make the background of your subject a little bit blur. One thing we need to understand is the way we measure this setting, which is with f-stops. Probably in your phone, you're gonna see the number f. That's why you won't find this option aperture. So if you wanna create, I'm gonna go to the second slide. Oh, it's not showing. So if you actually wanna create a shallow background, what you have to do is bring that number down. If you want to do is make sure that both the subject and the background, they are both sharp. You're going to keep both, we're going to bring both numbers up. Usually the numbers goes between 1.2 and 22. So you have to play with those two. And then we got the third setting, which is basically the ISO. This is a setting basically that controls how sensible is the sensor to the light. So it's a pretty simple setting that basically makes your photo brighter. It's very useful for dark environments, but you have to be careful because this is when it gets tricky because it can create noise. This is the technical word for when your image gets a little bit grainy. So if you want to avoid that, the best idea is for you to keep your ISO at 100. Okay, so the idea is, as a summary, if this like what we've been talking through about till now, is basically these three settings: the aperture, the shutter speed, and the ISO. Combining these three together is when we are able to actually take photos properly. Okay, so let's go through the first row. We got the aperture. A big hole and a small number will create a depth of field, a very shallow depth of field, okay? So our subject is gonna be nice and sharp and our background is gonna be blurred. As we increase that number, we're gonna make our hole smaller, our number is gonna go higher, and that would create that both our background and our subject are gonna be both in focus. The second row is shutter speed. So if we pick a high number, what we're gonna do is freeze the action of the image. That's why we can see that little guy running and we actually capture that moment. As we put our shutter speed lower, what we're gonna do is create like a blur effect in the person or whatever we're taking photo of. And then we got the third row, which is pretty much the ISO. That as we increase the number, we're gonna make the photo much more grainy. So ideally, we're gonna keep these settings as low as possible. I always try to keep them between 100 and 200 if I'm outside, and 400 and 800 if I'm inside, because of course I'm gonna have less light. But ideally, you wanna keep it as low as possible. So remember that you need to balance the overall amount of light coming into a camera. So these three settings, what they do, the three of them, they control the amount of light it gets into the camera. But at the same time, they do other settings that's the ones we've been through. So every time we're gonna take a photo, what we need to ask ourselves is what kind of photography we wanna make. If you know that you wanna capture a certain moment or a car in movement, we know that we need to start with our shutter speed and freeze that action. If we know that we wanna take a photo of a friend that is just chilling on the park and we want him to be nice in focus and our background to be blur, we know we need to focus on our aperture. Okay. Troubleshooting guide. This is actually pretty useful if you are a bit confused because I wasn't able to actually show you properly how to use these settings. So let's say our photo is too dark. We got different options. The idea is this is a triangle, so you can do whatever you want to get to the desired result. So if a photo is too dark, you can try increasing your ISO, you can lower your shutter speed, or you can make your aperture wider. If your photo is too bright, you can decrease your ISO, you can make your shutter speed faster, or you can narrow your aperture. If your photo is too blurry, the first thing, remember the focus, make sure everything is nice and in focus. Make sure you keep pressing that button till everything is green. And then you know that you're telling the camera, this is what I want it to be in focus. Another thing you can do is make your shutter speed faster. If it's too low, what we're gonna create is that blurry effect that we wanna avoid. So probably a good option would be to make our shutter speed faster. And another thing is to use a tripod. That's gonna be very handy too. Then we got composition rules. Composition rules, there's quite a few. The reason we use this composition is to make our photo more creative and to make them look nicer. There's plenty of them, but today I'm gonna go through 3 or 4. The first one is the rule of thirds. You probably heard about this one, it's very popular, and it's basically dividing your photo into 2 vertical lines and 2 horizontal lines. The idea is we're gonna position one of our subjects in one of those 4 spots. Why? Because psychologically speaking, it just looks nicer. It looks nice and tidy. This is actually a really nice and great tool to use if you actually want to get into practice straight away. And what you can do is actually activate your grid in your phone. I'm going to show you later how to do it so we can keep going. But it's actually just turning on, and the grid is going to appear, and you can actually decide how many times you want to divide it. So it's pretty useful. This same rule can be applied for a landscape. This composition rule can be used in 2 ways. The first one, as you can see in the photo, it will give you a reference, if you want to coin a way, of our horizon. We want to make sure that the horizon is nice and even, okay? So that line is going to give you that guidance. Sometimes we don't realize, and we take a photo of a friend and he looks amazing, but the horizon is like this and it doesn't look amazing. So in order to avoid that, we can use the grid. And another thing is, if you want to draw the attention towards a certain point, okay? So let's say we're gonna shoot a sunset or a sunrise. We want the main focus to be, of course, on the sun, on the sky. So we're gonna use 2/3 of those of that grid to put the focus on the sunset, and we're gonna leave 1 on the sea. So unconsciously speaking, we're gonna basically draw the attention towards the sky. If you wanna create the opposite effect, what we're gonna do, let's say we got a whale on the sea, we're gonna put 2/3 on the water and 1 on the sky. Okay, so we're drawing again the attention without the audience actually knowing towards a certain point. Then we got framing. Framing is actually common sense if you think it, but when you're thinking as a rule, it actually makes much more sense because you're actually conscious about it. So it's great because it creates a very interesting photo. It basically draws the eyes through the frame towards the background. You can see in the examples I took, it makes the photo much more interesting. Probably the photo is going to still look nice without the frame, but because we got that extra element, the photo looks much more attractive and appealing. And then we got the fourth rule. But I think I forgot one, leading lines. I did forget one. Leading lines basically, like the slideshow says, are lines that lead from the foreground to the background of the scene. Basically, the idea is that there's certain lines that again draws the attention. So as a photographer, I'm also always having an intention. So in this case, I'm going to be drawing my attention, let's say, towards the back of the room. And that's because of the lines I create. Let's say I'm having a path or a railway, whatever it is. Again, we are drawing the attention towards the background of the scene. Okay? And then there's plenty of rules that we can actually use. The idea is that you practice them, you apply them, and once you actually master them, you can actually break them because there's many things you can do. Even sometimes we get used to just take the photo with having a bit of phone, just like this straight, but we forgot about the fact that we can actually maybe put our phone lower or from the up and create different angles and perspective and make the photo much more interesting. So sometimes things that we take for granted can actually make the difference. And then we got post-production. I'm not gonna get into this too much, but I think with the phone, it's pretty cool that we can do very simple things and make the photo much more interesting and play a little bit with colors. And I'm gonna show you now how to do it. One thing to bear in mind, if you actually wanna take photos a little bit in a more professional way, it is important to change the file format that we are using. Usually we shoot in JPG. But the idea is that we change it into a more professional mode, and the reason is why it's gonna capture and keep more file, more data, and more information. Usually in photography, we call it RAW. In iPhone, at least, it's called DNG. So now we're gonna change that in order to show you how to do it. I think that's it. I ran a little bit because I wanted to show you how to use it in the phone. I don't know if, Luca, shall I do that before we keep going?
Yes, absolutely. Before we go into the Q&A, maybe jump into your phone, and I don't know if you have a subject there like a flower or something, and you can run it a bit more kind of slower. And
yeah.
You're not sharing your phone. Yeah, start sharing.
No, yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, let's see now.
We still can't see it.
Yeah, just one sec.
Yeah. So we've been getting a few messages off. So again, I think you went very fast, so we can make the best out of the practical. But now let's see if you can show every single thing that you were talking about. So,
yeah, it was a bit confusing. Sorry about that.
And I'm sorry. It's not easy. It's not easy to do it online. I can tell that it's not the easiest thing.
Can you see it now?
No, not yet. No, we can still see your screen.
Let me try.
Maybe if you stop sharing what you're sharing now, in the
let's see. For some reason, it's not working now. I'll try now.
Are you doing?
I'm trying to make it work. Is it working now?
No, we can see a black screen now. Maybe if you stop again.
I'm not sure what's going on. It was working before.
No worries. Maybe stop it one more time and share it again. Are you using the cable, the one that says via AirPlay, not the other one, right? Via iPhone cable? Yeah.
Sorry guys, I don't know what's going on.
That's all right.
I think I'm trying to reset it because it was working before.
Yeah.
It's like charging, but it's not getting there. I don't know why.
No worries. Let's do the following. I will take over the screen. I would do it myself, but I don't have an iPhone, so I'm sorry. I'm going to take over the screen just to take it from you. I'm going to stop sharing again. Give it one more try, maybe.
Now I can try it?
Yeah, give it one more try and see if you have to trust the device. Do you remember that we had to do that? And if not, we might give it a try and ask someone to share theirs and you can guide them. And maybe that's even better.
That's a good idea, yeah. No, it looks like it's charging, but it doesn't want to work.
Is your phone unlocked?
Yes.
All right. So let's try something weird. Does anyone here is anyone watching this from a Mac and has an iPhone? No.
Nobody has.
Lucia, do you have an iPhone? Awesome. So I will do something weird. Okay. So I make you, Lucia. I will make you a co-host. And that will give you the ability, if you go to share screen on the bottom bar, and then you go to share with AirPlay. It says share something like share. It says iPhone, iPad via AirPlay. Okay, she's done it. Oh no, Sophia, it's you again.
I'm trying, sorry, because it looks like it worked.
Okay, okay. One more try. And if not, we'll get Lucia to do it and you'll coach her. And I think that's gonna be maybe easier for everyone.
No.
No? Okay, so Lucia is all yours.
Yeah.
Did you get what you have to do? I'm gonna unmute you. So this is your time to shine, okay? No pressure at all.
Hi. All good?
We can't see it, but have you said share screen and then you have to
press, yeah, share screen and then there's a specific thing, desktop 1.
No, the one two to the right. It should say iPhone, iPad via AirPlay.
Yeah.
Does it say that? Yeah, that one. Yeah. And then share on the bottom right.
Yeah. Open system.
Oh, because you need to. Okay, yeah, a little bit more workup, but we'll be there. And just follow the guide. It should be fairly simple.
This is annoying. It was working a minute ago.
That's all right. Technology. It always tends to let us down in the worst possible scenario. That's okay.
my password.
Okay, we're almost there. Thanks, Catherine. That really helps. You can read the chat in the meantime. So if everyone's saying nice things, they all enjoyed it. They're all receiving a lot, learning a lot.
I can't try while she's trying, right?
No, let's give Lucia one more try, or at least one try. She's been brave enough to try.
I'm just trying to figure out my password. That's the thing.
Oh,
so
shit.
If you want to keep trying, like I have to find my password. Sorry, guys.
Maybe give it one more try.
Trying?
So?
Yeah.
You can keep trying.
I need to make this work.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Screen mirroring.
Oh, there we go. Yay!
Yes.
Finally.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the try, Lou.
I think I can't see you now.
No worries. You keep going on your phone, and I'll guide you.
Okay. So what I wanted to show you, I'm just gonna point to my mirror so it's easier for you to see. There's nothing over there.
Wait, it's frozen on screen mirroring now.
It's frozen.
It's frozen on your phone. All right. Play around with it.
What about now?
Still frozen.
Your screen share is paused. Why would we pause? What about now?
It's still frozen, but we're there. We're almost there. Nobody's in a hurry. There's no pressure. Everyone's here to learn.
It looks like I'm all right now. There's no pause or anything. Is it still pause?
Yeah, it's still, I mean, I can see it frozen. So maybe disconnect and reconnect. You have it now. You're there. You're
I'm
there.
afraid.
No, go for it. Go for it. Come on. Don't be afraid.
Okay. Okay, one more shot. Now we can see it.
Now we can see partially. There we go. Yeah. Take it slowly. Yes.
Okay now?
You've done it. Now very slowly. It's all yours.
Okay, finally. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Okay, I'm gonna try to go from scratch for those who didn't understand anything because I completely rushed and I apologize. So we're gonna go to the camera icon. We're gonna click over there. So once we're there, we're gonna go to professional mode. Before probably some of them were in automatic mode. Now we're gonna change it to professional. The first thing, let's say we wanna focus, we're gonna make the focus on a certain object. In this case, I only have a pillow, so we're gonna use that. I'm gonna make sure everything is green, and you can see at the top that it says focus lock. When it's locked, we are sure that the camera knows where the focus has to be. If you don't, probably the camera is gonna focus on everything, and when you zoom in, things are gonna be blurred. In order to avoid that, you're gonna keep pressing, make sure everything is locked, and then you're gonna take the photo. Okay, then we talk about the exposure. The exposure can be correctly exposed, underexposed, when it's a bit dark, or overexposed, when it's a bit overexposed or a little bit bright. So we're gonna click on exposure, and we're gonna move it. To our left, it's underexposed. To our right, it's overexposed. So I'm gonna try to keep it in the middle. According to my lights, I would say this is okay. Probably in your case, it's gonna be different because light is gonna change all the time. That's when photography, it's tricky, right? Then we talk about that in order to get this exposure in a correct way, we're gonna do it through the exposure triangles, were the three settings we talked before: shutter speed, ISO, and aperture. The first one we talked about was the shutter speed. Here you can say it's called sec, from seconds, pretty obvious. You're gonna click it, and then you can see that you can move it up and down. The difference would, the way you're gonna do it, it will depend on the kind of photography you wanna make. I keep repeating this because this is key. You always need to think as a photographer, what kind of photo you wanna do, okay? So again, let's say we wanna capture the moment of an image. We're gonna put our shutter speed high. Let's say probably 1/320, 1/250, that will be okay. If you're holding your phone, we usually say that we don't want to go lower than 150 or 125. And the reason we do that is because even though we think we are not, we are constantly shaking. So, or we either keep our shutter speed relative high, or we use a tripod. That's when the tripod comes to action. So again, if you want to actually freeze the action of the image, we're going to put it high. And if you actually want to create that blurry effect, the silky effect of the water, for example, we're going to put our shutter speed lower. Another way to create this, I told you before, is that you can get out of your camera, go to your built-in camera app. So you're going to click there, and then you're going to keep pressing the button. Photo, and then you're going to keep pressing. What is taking a photo? Photo. So if you keep pressing, you're going to take multiple photos at the same time. In order to avoid that, what you're going to do is pick the one you like the most, and then delete the rest one. By doing that, you're going to be able to capture the movement of the person. The other thing you can do is you go back to your app, and then you select the long exposure option over there. I don't know if you can see me. But
yeah, we can.
And then we're gonna do is basically click again on set, and then bring your shutter speed to the biggest number you can. In this case, it's 5. So you're gonna press that one, and you're gonna see then it's taking a few photos at the same time. And that's the reason up there you can see hold steady, because of the reason I was telling you before. If you don't keep steady, the photo is going to be completely blurred. So we want to avoid that. By doing this, we will be able to create, for example, that silky effect of the water. Then we go, if we go back to professional mode, we got the ISO next to it, next to second. The ISO, again, what it's going to do is basically brighten our photo. So if we actually are in a very dark space, what we're going to try to do is going to bring our shutters, our ISO up to be able to have a better visibility. However, you're going to try to keep it low as you can in order to avoid that grainy effects that we were talking about before. And then we got the last setting, which was the aperture. If you got one of the latest phone, one of the options you can use is the depth of capture, which is basically, I think it's for Android and iOS for Apple. But this is one option. What you're gonna do is try to get close to the object. I'm gonna try to do, let's say, you're gonna get close to the object, you're gonna focus. And once you make the focus, you can take the photo. And what is this gonna create is that blurry effect, at the bottom, at the background, okay? Another thing you can do to create that is basically built-in app. And if you got an iPhone, you can use Portrait that you probably know. This is the aperture, and you can actually go to the F option and again, bring your F up or down. If you wanna create a very blurry background, you're gonna put it as lower as you can, 1.4 in my case. And if you wanna make sure that your background is nice and sharp, let's say for a landscape, you're gonna bring this one up. Okay, and then we go back to the app. I'm gonna close this one, go back. to professional mode. With those 3 settings, you should be able to play a little bit with all the 3 settings. The idea is that you play with the 3 of them to be able to create a nice and correctly exposed photo. And then the good thing about this app is that you can actually also edit on this photo. That is what I was talking to you before. One thing I forgot. Yeah.
Yes. So can you show us how to put the grid so we know?
Yeah, I was going to do that one. I forgot. So if you go to the 3 dots that you have at the top right, you click that one, and then you can actually see the small grid, and you click, and you can decide how many you want. 1, 2, or 3. The most common is the one in the middle, so you're gonna keep that one on. So then you from here you can actually play with the different horizon or place the subject wherever you want. And one more thing, and it's actually pretty useful, is that if you go out of the app, like the built-in camera, so let's say we pick one of my photos. So let's say we pick this flower. So in this case, you can actually see the photo is correctly exposed. My subject, which is the flower, is nice and sharp, but my background is completely blurred. So one thing you can do is actually play with the colors. So in Lightroom, we got something that's very popular, you probably heard about. It's called the presets. Presets are basically custom filters. So what you do is put that filter on as a base to make your photo looks very nice in in a very short amount of time. For example, I created this one that is called Cool Buds. What I'm going to do is just click over there. So if I keep pressing, we got the before and we got the after.
So you're freezing a little bit. So can you repeat that? Has everyone seen so freezing a little bit as well? Yeah. Yeah. So maybe go over that last part one more time. I think it's pretty important for everyone to know.
So I was saying that one thing that you can do in Lightroom that is pretty cool is the presets, which are basically custom filters. The idea is that you can actually play a little bit with colors and exposure. If your photo channel a little bit dark or very bright, you can actually play with it. With these filters, with these presets, what you can do is just I place them on the photo to make like a nice base for your photo. If you like it, you can leave it like that, and if you want to keep working on it, you can. So if you keep pressing after, like I was saying before, the preset that I created was Cool Buds, so you can actually press it and apply it. I got another one which is called Soft and Chill, so it's a different effect. This is one, this is the other one. And then if you keep pressing the screen, you can actually see the before and the after, before, after. These presets, I actually got them for free in my website. If you want them, you can actually download them. There's no problem, and you can play with them. And then if you think this photo looks nice, but you can keep playing with it, what you can do is just leave this one and then keep playing with the other settings that you got over here. You got lights, so if it's a little bit underexposed, you bring that a little bit overexposed, you can bring the lights down.
You're freezing again, Sof. You're freezing again quite a bit, but there you go. Wow. Oh, there you go.
Okay. And I think another thing you can actually do is other apps, unless you can, let's say, I'm just gonna say this one thing, and I finish with this because it's gonna get a little bit tricky. An app which is called
you're completely froze, Sof. Maybe stop sharing your screen and just maybe say whatever you want to say, because you are like a robot this time around.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. I just wanted to show you one more app that I think is pretty useful. It's called Snapseed, and it's very useful if you actually want to erase things. Let's say you got a present in your photo that you don't like, you can actually do that with a brush. It's very easy. I would like to show you. It's not working tonight. Yeah, but I think it's pretty fun what you can do with this app. if you actually manage to understand something of what I said today, those presettings are key in order to take photos. If you know those, you can actually use them in photography or in whatever camera you use. I bet you have plenty of questions. It was a bit messy, so sorry about that.
Let's open the chat and maybe people to just ask a few questions. Sof, that was great. Thanks for sharing. I think everyone is like, yeah, we learned a lot. I'm guessing obviously having this face-to-face is easier for everyone. A lot of people were asking about the slides and where they can contact you. Can you share your details maybe on the chat or put them in on the screen, your Instagram, your email? I don't know if you're sharing your phone number as well, so everyone can contact you. You do photography tours, right, around the city?
Yes, I'm actually also doing photography workshop tours. And if you're actually interested in the, am I sharing my screen? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. I'm also doing I have these presets for free on my website. If you want to get into it, you can actually download them. Now that you got the app and you know how to take photos, you can actually play with them a little bit. So if you want to do that, you're more than welcome.
Are the slides are the slides that you showed today on your website, Sof?
The presets, the filters.
No, sorry. All of the slides that you were showing today, the whole things talking about exposure and aperture.
No, I do have an ebook. It's actually in special offer right now. It's only $10. If you want to download that one, you can. All this information is over there.
Amazing, awesome. So maybe let's open up for questions. Helen, Hardik, Lucia, Catherine, you've been there with your, I could see your faces and your phones just flying around. Any questions, any particular questions that you want to ask Sof about any of the topics that she covered today? You need to unmute yourself if you want to talk.
No, basically, I think it's a wonderful session, eye-opener for me to know that the camera has so many features that we are not aware of. And thank you so much for sharing. It's just that I think Android phones have a little bit of a bit of difference. Like when it comes to exposure and so on, there are no icons at all. And like Hardik say, you just need to kind of push. Slide along the photos and unlock the exposure compensation.
So what I did, the reason I choose this app, not only because it's actually the most professional app for photographers, but also I tried to actually combine both apps. I don't want it to, whatever brand you had a phone, be a limitation. So I think with this app, you should be able to do everything that we talked through. Because that was the plan. I tried them with both phones and it should work completely the same. But if you have any question or if you couldn't find anything, just let me know and we figure it out. Yeah.
Helen, I'm pretty sure that if you go on YouTube or maybe into Google, you can find where are the settings hidden. I think she's on the phone now. Amazing. Does anyone else have a question? Hardik.
Yes, with the focus length, I have a maximum focus length I'm getting is 1/10, and I think in yours it was 1/4 or something. Can I increase the focus length somehow? Like
the focal length,
focal length.
So it will depend on in your phone. It will depend on the phone you have. That's why I was telling you about the iPhone Pro. You can play a little bit with those because they kind of created those three lenses. You know what I mean? But in a camera, for sure, because you can actually just change the lens. With a phone, I think it will depend on the phone you have. I don't know which one you have.
Note 10.
Which one?
Samsung Note 10.
So I think I can check it out for you, but it shouldn't be. I mean, you got basic with phone. You can do great stuff, but it's still a phone. It's not a camera. So that's when it get a little bit tricky.
Got it. Thank you.
Lucia is asking, can you do videos with this app and use the same tools?
So this app is more for photos. you got great apps for that are especially for videos, because there's even this same filter that I was telling you about and I was showing you, there's filters for videos, and you won't be able to use them with this one, and you won't be able to edit. So this Adobe Lightroom, actually Adobe is like a big software. I don't know if you're familiar with, but Lightroom is just one of the software they have. The other one is Photoshop, that probably everyone knows. And there's another one that is called Adobe Premiere, and that's the one for videos. So you can actually download that one from the phone too. I don't know if there's a free version. There's probably is, or at least for a few amount of time. But yeah, if you actually want to play with video, there's plenty of apps. InShot is free and it's really good.
InShot, I'm going to write it here.
Yeah.
InShot. Amazing. Great. Any other questions, guys? We are a minute away from 7 o'clock. We could potentially go through a few minutes due to the technical difficulties that we had. But if no one else has a question, will the recording be made available? Yes, Lynn, the recording will be available on the Academy of Entrepreneurs Facebook. So as I was saying in the beginning, make sure you follow us. We have many great events like this that Sophie is doing today in many different topics. Usually many topics refer to entrepreneurship. So photography, obviously, for entrepreneurs it's key. Having the right tools to promote yourself and your products and your services. So we will have more events like this, and the recordings of all of the webinars that we do every Tuesday, free webinars, are on our Facebook page. So make sure you follow us, and make sure that you also follow Sophie here, that she's once again showing her details. Any other question? No more questions, I think. Guys, thank you for your time. Sophie, thank you for your time. Thank you for this wonderful presentation. And I hope that we get to see you again, and that we get to see more of your sharing expertise and all of the tools that you know how to use.
In a more organized way.
No, this was amazing. This was organized, but then technology always plays a trick. So I think it was very useful. Everyone's very happy here in the comments. So thanks everyone for joining, for coming by. I hope you all have a wonderful week. And again, make sure that you stay tuned for all of our events and with Sophie, so she can also share all of her knowledge with everyone. See you all very soon. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Sophie.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Bye.
It was really informative. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.